what's up to the people who are early. As per usual, we're doing one of these community calls. We missed last week just because we didn't have a ton to talk about. We also didn't have a guest, so we'd rather skip than have a super boring community call. This week we have a guest and we have stuff to talk about, so that's why we're here. I guess we should start with we'll start with doing a little bit of Q&A stuff with Mikey about Vesta, and then we'll move into some of the redacted stuff at the end. So Mikey, if you don't mind introducing yourself and introducing Vesta a little bit, that would be sick.
Yeah, sure. So, hey guys, Mikey here from Vesta Finance. Um, as you guys have probably heard what Vesta is. So basically, we are a debt issuing lending protocol, issuing a token called Vesta Stable VST. Um, Kind of rhymes with UST, so we decided to switch the name there a little bit to go with VST, and it's a USD peg stablecoin. Um, we currently have three types of collateral that you can mint VST with, either ETH or MBTC or Geom. And this is exactly where, a potential partnership with Redacted would come in. We have, because of how people are able to mint VST, the stablecoin, with their Geom holdings, Redacted could potentially, utilize their Geom treasury and do some capital efficiency stuff with Vesta with their Geom holdings. So yeah, that's basically what Vesta is at the moment.
Sweet. And can you kind of dive into the advantages of like borrowing using Vesta versus like some other protocol, for example?
Well, Vesta's current code base is based off of liquidities. The I'm sure that you know more than anyone else here.
We
And
have an unfair advantage there.
yes, you have a very unfair advantage. And basically, what we enable is that there is no interest charged on a loan right now, and there is a mint fee. However, the mint fee is extremely low. For Geom, it's 1.25% at the moment. For ETH and BTC, it's 0.5%. And so what that means is you can basically open a loan on Vesta, take your VST, do whatever with it, and there won't be any interest fee accruing on it over time.
Dope. And recently, hold on, I'm just trying to find the proposal that you actually posted, and you kind of hinted at it earlier. There, here it is. So you, not too long ago, about a month ago, you made a proposal about depositing Geom into Vesta. What would be some of the benefits of Redacted doing that? And like, can you dive into the governance token we'd be earning through the stability pool and all of that stuff? Because I think some people may not be familiar with some of those mechanisms, or maybe even the roadmap for VSTA.
Yeah, so what we're hoping to do in the long term, there's a lot of exciting plan for the VSTA governance token. Taking a step back, so if you know Redacted would be depositing their Geom into our vault, into our Geom vault. Redacted would be able to mint VST, which they can either take it and buy other stuff with it, or they could be working with us and earn VSTA governance token from us. So our governance token in the not so long future would be able to act as, well, we'll be able to kind of transform it to a vote escrow version. And effectively, what we are envisioning is we want to have multiple types of collaterals, and with each types of collateral, we'll be able to pair VST stablecoin to that particular collateral, and we will be emitting our governance token to incentivize the depth of each of these liquidity pools. That's one use case. We also have stability pools set up for each of the collateral to ensure that liquidations happen smoothly, and that it doesn't undermine the security of the peg of the stablecoin. Those are also a venue for utilizing um, potential boost mechanism of a vote escrow model. So those two are kind of where we are envisioning um, a very heavy use of our VSTA governance token.
Nice. And I want to clarify for everybody too, this isn't just like an opportunity that Redacted itself could take advantage of. I mean, users can also do this, right? They can deposit collateral into the system, borrow the stablecoin, and then deposit to the stability pool to earn Vesta token and use it for whatever it ends up evolving into over the next several months. Um, what do you what do you think are some advantages of partnering with Redacted specifically? Because I'm sure there's other types of protocols that you guys are pursuing partnerships with. What do you see a relationship with Redacted looking like, and why is it super beneficial for you guys?
I think Redacted is at a very it stands at a very unique place in all of DeFi. Ultimately, um, to be able to take advantage of yield opportunities across the whole landscape, you want to be on the same side as the people who are holding, who are yielding the power. And so, Redacted is uniquely positioned as the person or the DAO that holds a lot of power here. And so, you know, we want to explore potentially like collaboration that we would be able to utilize some of the governance power that's within Redacted's control. In return, we would be creating particular use cases, maybe, a place to utilize a hidden hand or, to go as far as newer and more novel kind of use cases, such as creating newer types of stablecoin that are not just USD, whatever that fit into Redacted's roadmap, whatever that fit into Redacted's vision, we are more than happy to explore how those particular vision would look like and how those things would be implemented.
Nice. And the other side of this that I think is interesting is that you guys are live on Arbitrum, and Arbitrum's ecosystem is still very much in a phase where it's still bootstrapping, still developing. And so, for people who maybe aren't as familiar with what's going on Arbitrum, could you kind of give a lay of the land as far as like how things are going on the curve side on Arbitrum? What are some of the other opportunities that are available? Ultimately, what can people do once they kind of get their hands on BST, the stablecoin, or what do you expect the future to look like as Arbitrum continues to evolve?
Yeah, sure. I think those two questions they go hand in hand. On a very high level, there's a couple things you can do in the Arbitrum ecosystem. Two of the prominent applications beside Vesta Finance, the other, the two main kind of applications on Arbitrum is GMX.io as well as OPEX, I would say. Um, I mean, there's a lot of other great applications that I'm not mentioning here, but these are the two very significant ones. And on GMX, people are able to leverage trade, and on Dopex is mainly an options vault. These are two partners that we at Vesta are in close contact with. Um, in fact, we're pushing out a potential collaboration with GMX, and as soon as the next couple of days, um, yeah, as soon as the next couple of days. So, like going to the second part of your question, um, the utility of VST, it will tie greatly into our partners' applications, right? So with GMX, we're exploring whether it's possible to add VST into their GLP. GLP is basically the pool of money that powers the leverage trading platform of GMX. And with Dopex, there's also a lot of things that we could be potentially doing. Some of the payout of the options could be done in VSC. We could be setting up a SSOV. It's kind of like an options vault thing that they have. We could be setting it up with our governance token as well. So overall, I'd say it's a growing ecosystem, and but at the same time, we're not really just restricting ourselves to this particular ecosystem. We're also exploring other ecosystems as well.
Sweet. And I don't mean to hog all the questions, everybody. So if there's
Yeah,
anybody up here that has
I
other
wanted
questions they
to
want to ask, go for it.
yeah, I wanted to you talked about like GMX and DPX and stuff. Like what is like the criteria or like what do you guys look for when you add like new collateral types?
Yeah, so I think um, you know, different from a algorithmic stable coin where there is, you know, I guess from a supply standpoint, you could be more innovative. For us, our focus in the short term is definitely unlocking values out of tokens that are already in circulation. And so, you know, compared to say like Maker or Liquidity, the standard is definitely much less stringent. I would say that you know, as long as we have a partnership or you know relationship even with the team, we know that we're all not here just for the short term, and most importantly, on the technical side, it has to be a token that you know it can't just have a very shallow liquidity pool, something that can sustain um, uh, you know, say that in a downturn of a market, there could be potential liquidations. As long as the liquidity pool could stomach um, the some of the ramifications of listing a token as a type of collateral, then it is sufficient for us to list. It's just a matter of you know finding the right oracle and then figuring out some of the implementation details.
Yeah. Let's talk about like the proposal a bit more, right? So in the current state of the proposal, we're looking to deposit all of our geom. I'm not sure the exact number. Maybe you know, MD. I think it's like a couple million, right? And collateralize it. 4 million. Yeah. So we look at like um, depositing around like 4 million geom, and then leveraging up essentially with VST, and then with that VST, like probably put it in the stability pool or something like that. I don't know. So I guess like I think like it's a pretty big step for us. Like I think like one thing we've been doing is like trying to be flexible with the treasury, but I think like in the case of like leverage, like this would be like a first for the treasury. Um, and I think like beyond looking like potential smart contract risks and all that stuff that we take on with everything, there we now look at the risk of like liquidations and stuff. Um, I guess like yeah, like uh I think Carlton brought it up in the beginning, but like, what are some of the things we can do with the VST to like, probably like make the most out of it, like beyond just like LPing it or whatever.
Yeah, so I think earning yield is a short answer. I would say that the other most important thing is it provides a way for you to mobilize the geom um, with the VST that you kind of borrow out of the platform. You could be selling it through Frax, which is the current token that VST is paired with, selling it to Frax and then selling it to ETH or whatever. And then effectively, the most important thing is mobilizing and mobilizing the the underlying value of your geom without selling it. So a lot of things can be done. I'm sure that there's, with you guys, there's nothing, you don't have, there's not short of opportunities for you guys to engage in. Um, but within our own system, in the current phase, is definitely staking into the stability pool, as well as the Frax gauge that we have on Frax Finance. So we're also exploring other liquidity pool opportunities with other partners. So we're in close contact with Balancer. We're potentially setting up a liquidity pool paired with a over collateralized, actually a bank backed token, USDC or USDT on Balancer, just so that people have a better peace of mind with their LP position. Yeah, that's kind of the really, really short-term roadmap, within the next week or two. Over the longer term, like I said, there is the V model that we are currently investigating. We're also looking at more novel kind of liquidity arrangement, some of which, we talk about internally. We can't really disclose just yet, but yeah, that's kind of the short answer for now.
Dope. Any other questions from anyone on the stage? Sweet. So from here, oh, go ahead. Somebody unmuted. Figgy, was that you?
No, I was. Yeah, no, it's okay. It's all good.
Okay, cool. Cool. So
kick this guy off stage, bro.
yeah, no, Figgy, get out of here, man. Okay, cool. So from here, I recommend that everybody check out the proposal that was originally made. I think with some back and forth, we can actually find something that could potentially make sense and be a good collaboration between both parties. So if there's anything else you want to shout out, Mikey, before we start leaking redacted alpha on stage, feel free. Where can people find you guys? Where can people use the application? Where can people learn more, etc.?
Yeah, I think most of the links are already in the Commonwealth proposal. Actually, there's only one link in there, so we can definitely add a couple more links into our community called Chatter. I can work on that, so don't let me hold you guys up. Let's move on to what we're gonna talk about next.
Dope. Well, thanks for hopping on stage. Appreciate you giving the breakdown. Once again, everybody, I dropped a link to the Commonwealth and the community called Chatter, and Mikey will drop some extra links there for people to check out. So make sure you dive in and help figure out a way that we can collaborate. Moving on to some redacted stuff. We don't really have that many governance proposals, at least that I'm aware of at the moment, outside of the proposal to recover 35.49 butterfly and distribute half of that to via grants to new people. Basically, for those not familiar, this is a proposal on Snapchat where a user accidentally sent butterfly to the butterfly contract address, which effectively just burns it, right? And this proposal is to recover that butterfly by giving half back to the user and then using the other half for grants within the community. Up to you guys what the ultimate decision will be there. Just make sure you vote on Snapshot because it is actually live. I don't think there's any other governance proposals right now that I'm missing. If not, then we can maybe move on to Pyrex stuff.
Yeah. I think this week we're just wrapping up some of the V2 stuff that we're gonna start rolling out now. So majority of it has been I think let's talk about Pyrex.
Let's do it.
I guess we brought up KP, our little Pyrex superstar. Look at his Pepe frog.
The Pyrex superstar. And he's
The
not
Pyrex
little, he's
superstar.
big. He's
No.
big.
No,
No,
I'm talking
there's
about
definitely team
his
effort.
DP. You know,
Oh, okay, okay,
like
okay.
a small Pepe. Looks like it's lacking caffeine.
Yeah, I still don't know
You
what
know,
DP means. Was it like dick pic or something? No, I'm just kidding.
what the
Anyway,
fuck?
Pause.
but yeah, I think Colton had a community question first though. Um, but anyway, we'll
Yeah.
probably touch on that after. So yeah, Pyrex, just from a high level overview, the idea is to basically, or the goal is to offer you everything that you would receive by locking directly with Convex, but with more utility. And we're also going to, I mean, this hopefully this isn't too ambitious, but we're going to offer you the same, at minimum, the same returns as well. Right now, I think Convex's APR is something like 55 or 60% APR. So we're going to do the same. We have spoken to a couple of people from the Convex like ecosystem already, and they seem pretty excited about it too, and we're really hyped to be working with them. But yeah, so if you're a CVX holder, basically deposit your CVX into Pyrex, and you'll have a liquid version of VL CVX, and from there, you'll still be able to claim your uh, rewards associated with locking Convex or CVX every 2 weeks, basically on the same schedule as if you were to lock with Convex. And one other cool functionality, or a couple other cool functionalities, is you'll be able to if you stake your PCVX, you could actually mint future rewards. So you can say, for example, right now, when locking with Convex, you basically get to claim bribes every 2 weeks, right? But with Pyrex, you could stake your PCVX and get a year's worth of your bribes upfront, or at least the tokenized version of them, and sell them immediately. So let's just say in January, right? You're holding CVX, you're locked CVX, or January till now. Like, so every 2 weeks, you're collecting your bribes, right? Imagine how great it would be if you were if you're able to sell all of your bribes up front and use that liquidity for buying the dip or whatever you guys want to do. So we think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add,
Plus, we're
Andy?
seeing the market of this providing liquidity, especially on VLCVX, becoming more and more efficient. So we see these being priced well, especially during this year. I think the last round it was like $1 moved $1.05. So I think they'll be priced pretty well in the future market.
Yeah, and yeah, so that's we're really excited about that. And so right now the locking period with Convex is like a fixed 17 weeks, right? But imagine if you could withdraw your CVX like as soon as in as little as like 1 week. I mean, of course, you would be missing out on rewards and things like that, but we're basically going to allow you to redeem your underlying as soon as it's available, without any intervention from our end. So you'll always have access to your actual CVX, whatever you deposit. So we're gonna basically guarantee you that, and yeah, I think it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, this is dope. And I just want everybody to know, like, if all of this sounds like way too big brained or way too confusing, like, don't worry. The stuff that's out right now isn't like final stuff. Like the website isn't just like the complete version of the website, or the abstract isn't the last thing regarding content. So there'll be plenty of resources out there for everybody to dive into. That way everybody can get a good understanding of what's going on, how it works, and then how you can engage with it. There is one thing that I want to talk about, and guys, we gotta get it on, we gotta get it together as a community. We made a tweet where we basically said to go type cat abstract.txt on the website, and people were responding to the actual tweet. We can't be looking crazy out here, everybody. We need to make sure that we're paying attention. Just go to the website. You have to know that if you respond to a tweet, that nothing is going to be responding back to you. So let's just make sure we're not looking crazy out here going forward. anything else on the Pyrex front we want to touch on before we maybe move on to some other roadmap stuff? And if anybody has questions,
Yeah, let's
ask it
talk
in the
about
community call chatter too, by the way.
let's talk about like the launch plan for it and stuff and where we are with the development.
Let's
I
do
think
it.
someone had a question.
Yeah, if you have a question, type it in the call chatter. It's just a lot easier to coordinate. Please.
Yeah, there are a lot of interesting use cases for Pyrex though that we've discussed and which may not seem obvious. I think one of the things that a CVX pool would be able to do would be to take like a liquidation free position on CVX by basically depositing their CVX with Pyrex, staking, getting future rewards, selling the rewards, and then buying more CVX, and then rinsing and repeating, and just getting a lot of CVX, and you would never be liquidated. And at the same time, you could also redeem your CVX, as it's available.
We have a question coming in. I'm just waiting on it to be typed. Here we go. So the question is, you stated you could mint future rewards via Pyrex, but at the same time, you said one would have access to their CVX and redeem it, surely. Waiting for part 2. Honestly, okay, you don't mean they can redeem before future rewards.
Yeah, so you might have heard me mention that to get future rewards, you would have to stake it or take some similar action, like unlocking. We'll definitely lay this all out in a really like detailed and easy to understand manner in the docs. But yeah, so if you were to stake your tokens, okay, so the number of rounds of future rewards you would get is based on the number of rounds that you would stake your PCVX. So when you stake your PCVX, you can't actually use it to redeem the underlying. But just PCVX on its own, you could use it to redeem your CVX. When I say PCVX, as in it's not staked. So yeah, I guess they cannot redeem it, before getting their futures rewards.
Yeah, like if he's saying you have to basically initiate the unlock process to basically mint the futures.
Yeah, we've definitely done our best to think about this, like in a game theoretical or how like adversaries would think about it, and we'll definitely. I think we have a lot of certain limitations, or this is all structured in a way that would prevent gaming, and there's going to be a lot of like strenuous testing and things like that we're going to be going through. But yeah,
I guess that's a good transition to the testnet stuff and the actual like launch schedule for this. Sammy or KP, I don't know if either of you want to take that side of things.
Yeah, so the goal is to. So I mean, we're on track to release on testnet next week. If the UI is I guess like in place. At the very least, we could deploy the contract and just teach people how to make contract calls, like using Etherscan or something. But yeah, I think I think we are launching sooner than a lot of people expected, though. But hopefully, we'll send the code off to auditors tomorrow or sometime next week, because we have made a couple of like major improvements this week. But yeah, next week, everyone will get to use Pyrex. And then hopefully after that mainnet launch, like shortly, within after the audits are all done.
Sweet. From here, Sammy, is there any other roadmap stuff you wanted to touch on? Take the silence as a no.
Oh shit, I was on mute.
All right, cool.
Yeah, so there is a few things. So one thing we're trying to figure out now is the fuse pool. I think like we were running the Takasa Mata for like a good amount of time. We've managed to like shift majority of volume over to Curve, as well as like majority of liquidity over to Curve. So now we have like two official LPs running, the Ohm Butterfly on Sushi, which we're looking to migrate to another DEX, and then the Curve LP, which is ETH Butterfly. So we're looking at migrating some of these. Yeah, I think like it's good to have like multiple LPs, but if we can consolidate it into like a like a tri pool like we were discussing earlier, that would be best. And we're definitely gonna be looking to do that. But what happens with that is with like the thicker liquidity now, like like a better POL to market cap ratio, we can start looking at like where we can use Butterfly as like collateral because like still a lot of people want to like lend against it, right? So we've looked at like a few different fuse pools. We've looked at a few different like stablecoin partners, ones like tied to Olympus and stuff like that. Looked at like interesting derivatives where like the yield you can generate on like RL Butterfly and stuff you can collateralize. Um, and yeah, I mean, we're looking now at like just extending the use cases out. I think like, right now everyone's still focused on launching like Hidden Hand and now Pyrex, so you guys know what Pyrex is. Um, and getting those like core use cases out. But I think like at the same time, like on the BD front, like a lot of people are the contributors are looking to set up different use cases for Butterfly, whether that be on other DEXs or other lending platforms or whatever the case is. Um, what else we got in the plan? Let me just pull it up. Citadel, we're announcing that today. We're going to be putting up a snapshot vote. And if you guys vote yes on it, that you want to be whitelisted, then yes, you're whitelisted and you can participate in the Citadel launch. You guys might have seen that we partnered with them as one of like their launch partners. And yeah, that should be good fun too. So if you guys want to participate in that Citadel thing, we'll post more details about it today. And you guys can all whitelist stores get whitelisted in the Citadel launch. What else we got? New UI coming today. Really fuck with it. I think like the current UI is like a bit like outdated, and I think it's just like in general like doesn't fit the brand that well compared to everything else we do. So new UI dropping today. Super dope. Fits the brand more and it's like more in line with like the V2. So keep an eye out for that. I think like we're doing a complete new UI, but this is just gonna start with like a reskin. Like the typical black reskin, and yeah, should be fun. Um, what else we got? Anything else, Cindy?
Yeah, wanted to talk about that. Basically, now Curve rewards have started going into our POL on Curve V2. So the elephant sucking itself meme has started with a POL. So we're going to be basically reaping the rewards from Curve, and the flywheel started.
Right. So we're just like you guys might have seen we've been teasing some stuff with Terra. I'm not gonna say exactly what that is right now, but like in general, I think like the plan is to move away from delegating to Vodium and figure out some custom bribe solutions, um, including pointing CVX emissions to our own LP, so that we can sort of like generate more CVX from it, but at the same time like make the pool even thicker with external capital and not have to depend on POL exclusively. Um, so yeah, a bunch of like exciting little things that just like increase the strength of the protocol in the short term, and then I wouldn't even say in the long term, like in the next week or two, we start the rollout of like V2. So creating more use cases for Butterfly, creating some more revenue drivers, and then introducing some new tokenomics. I'd say like locking mechanics and different ways to sort of play the game. Let's say that's like the main updates on my end.
Sweet. And I love how we can say with a straight face that an elephant is sucking itself is like a viable strategy, and everybody knows what that means. So that's cool. With all of that out of the way, I think we covered pretty much everything. For anybody listening, all the relevant links that we've talked about throughout this entire thing are available in the community call chatter. If there's any last minute questions, feel free to drop them in there as well. Somebody said, what about VoteMac? VoteMac, however you actually say it. So Steven, you want
VoteMac
to take
is
that one? Okay,
now.
cool.
Wait, where did they post the question?
Community call chatter, yeah. They just asked what about VoteMac, so I mean, it'd be cool to just touch on that part
VoteMac
of it.
is now Hidden Hand, right?
Yeah.
So that's part of the V2 launch, like the rollout of like Pyrex or whatever. Hidden Hand is like, you know, when we made the VoteMac acquisition, actually we started paying them today. For like that acquisition, we took it, we sort of like gave it a new face, and we're relaunching it as Hidden Hand. So the use cases of it branch out from exclusively Tokamak onto other platforms like, okay, I won't say the names. You guys can probably guess them. Like basically anyone with like a Vodesta token, and what else can we say about Hidden Hand? Without giving too much away.
I mean, they'll know soon enough. Like, there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff basically ready to go.
Okay,
with
okay.
Hidden
This
Hand,
is what
so.
I'll say. This is what I'll say about Hidden Hand. So we talked with the Tokamak guys the other day. Core event 3 is like super. It's like really. It's like around the corner. We've been like working with them, figuring out like who the major bribers are. I think it's going to be a banger of a core event, much bigger than the last two. So that's like a super exciting. That's like a great way, at least from like a business perspective, to like debut something instead of just like putting it out like because it's ready. We could just like launch it today, but instead of just like putting it out with like nothing to do, we'll launch it with like the core event, and it'll be like a lot better for us, just in terms of like capturing attention and shit like that. Um, so we'll do core event 3 with Tokamak. They are basically like ready to go. They're just like gonna start prepping comms and stuff like that, and then you'll start to see like the other partners we've looped in shortly after that.
Yeah, and anybody looking for alpha, I mean, there's been a ton of projects who have launched vote escrow token models lately. So maybe you could start putting two and two together and kind of figure out who we may be collaborating with and stuff like that. But outside of that, people will get all the information they're looking for within the next couple of weeks. So no need to worry too much. But I think that's all the questions, unless. Oh my god, I just had like a weird lisp that just happened. Unless Eth has one more thing he wants to ask. What is we estimate the revenue for Hidden Hand to be some math formula. I don't know.
I think it's way. I think it's more than. I think it's more than 10 partners now, and each one of them sort of have like a different setup. So, like the expected revenue and stuff changes like significantly. The good part about it being for like the good part is if you're playing Hidden Hand from like the butterfly side rather than like the individual token side, is that you're getting exposure to all of these like quote unquote wars. Um, so some protocols have the convex model, right, where it's like like the equation you put there. Every 2 weeks, like X amount of money comes in, and people are essentially bribing for their liquidity. Some people are going the tokamak model, where they have like these core events, and they have like one-off bribing events like every quarter or something like that. So still same like revenue generation, but it's not like the same execution, let's say. Um, Others are going for the platypus model, where it's sort of like you can stake it, and if you like unlock it, then you like, lose it all. So like the thing is like with the what we've seen is like we've made like 3 frameworks essentially, like ways that different people can plug in, right? Whether they're using the Frax model, the convex model, or like the tokamak model. And it gives us like more flexibility with like integrating partners, because everyone's trying to like play it a different way. Yeah. That's what I'll say to that. So like we won't really know until like it comes out, and we can make like estimations and stuff, but I think like it's hard to predict it because of one, market volatility, two, like one protocol is going to have its honeymoon phase, then the next week another one is going to have it. And it sort of depends on like the demand that they can generate for the product, right? Like we can generate the demand for the yeah, I'll say that.
Yeah, and regarding the question about partners being as big as Curve, like I don't think there's any other really any other projects that are as big as Curve. So the important thing here is that Hidden Hand will have pretty broad exposure to all types of different projects. And so in the event that one or two do really well, I mean, Hidden Hand will be right in the middle of it, of course. So while not all of these will pop off and become as big as Curve, I mean, in the odd chance that a handful of them do, we'll know that Hidden Hand
Well,
will be
that's
in a
a,
good
okay.
spot to
So that's
capitalize
like
on
a
that.
really good, thing. I think, like, sorry not to interrupt you. Like, one thing I like about Hidden Hand is like, we're so exposed to like convex in the treasury, right? And then it's like, 1 week, like there was like this week where everyone was messaging us. I was like, oh, you guys are gonna go do the solid wars and shit, right? You guys are gonna go bond solid and sex and 0x down and all this sort of stuff. And we're like, yeah, we'll think about it, And that would mean that it's just like more dilution for everyone. It's like, oh, we're just gonna fucking ride whatever the trend is. But Hidden Hand is an infrastructure, right? Where it's an infrastructure where other protocols can sort of come in, launch it, and then we get to see the upside of them, doing good marketing and all this sort of stuff, right? So with Hidden Hand, it allows us to like get exposure to all the different wars and all these different governance tokens without us actually having to, create more dilution for you guys by bonding the tokens, right? So it's just like, revenue generation for the protocol, for the underlying treasury through like an infrastructure mechanism rather than the bonding mechanism. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I mean, the whole evolution of Redacted, I think, throughout the V2 roadmap will be establishing Redacted as this like key infrastructure play across all relevant potential governance wars. So I think that's like a future that is, one, not too far off, but two, is like very optimistic for the health of the protocol going forward. The bonding model is just like the tip of the iceberg in that regard. Cool. If there's no other questions, I think we've kind of hit the 45-minute mark. We've touched on just about everything important. Mikey, thanks for toughing it out and staying on stage the whole time, but also thanks for coming and introducing Vesta to everybody. Cool. The recording will be up hopefully soon. Thanks everybody again
Soon
for
TM.
joining. Yeah, soon TM. As long as I don't lose the After Effects file again, it should be up like tomorrow or something like that.
Oh, we're dropping a sick teaser video today, so everyone go like and retweet it.
Yeah. Please, okay, everybody who's here, I consider you guys the most loyal people. I mean, there's 40 people here and a Discord of thousands. So whenever we drop something over the next couple of weeks, make sure to really, really hype it up because this stuff is going to be badass that we're releasing over the next couple of weeks. Cool. If there's nothing else, thanks everybody. As always, we'll do it again next week and the week after that, so on and so forth.
Cool. Peace out, guys.
Peace out, everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye.